One of my favourite things to do is applique or applique. I've always been in love with it. When I first started, zigzag satin stitch was the only option. Then we moved on to buttonhole stitch. But this machine comes with a huge choice.
It certainly does.
And I brought this work in progress into the studio, which is fused, so raw edge. So tell me about some of the options that I could use, Jane.
We've got 20 different applique stitches on here, so there's a huge range from slightly heavier weight ones to really light fine ones, depending on what you want to do. So we can find them all here.
Under the applique section.
And then to select them on the machine, again, we come into here, touch the screen, and just select it.
Okay.
And they're all on there for us. And again, we've got 2 pages, so we can just slide across to the other page.
Right.
So there's such a huge range of them. And funny, I've prepared some earlier for you,
Lovely.
so we can have a look
we
and
can
see
what they look like.
What would suit best. You don't have to use the same stitch on all your shapes. So some flowers, you could do a denser outline, you could do a really light one. We've also got the wonderful here, which I absolutely love, very, very little light, delicate stitch.
Sweet little bite.
And again, as with everything, as you're sewing, you can change the width and the length.
Okay.
And again, we have a favourite stitch adjustment on the machine, so we can override the default settings and save the setting that we're physically working with on that project.
So if I go away partway through, it will remember for me. Yes. That's wonderful.
We don't lose a piece of paper that we've written everything on. And also the other one I love on here, you've got the tiny little, it's almost like a blind hem.
Yes,
and again, you can alter that.
with that,
really
with the turned edges.
Turned edges and invisible. But such a range of stitches. So we've got the light ones, we've got the standard, which we were all sort of quite familiar with now, aren't we? That's more like a little
And these are all done, I mean, I know it's your sample, but you've done it with the same weight of thread throughout. So it gives a good view of kind of a good idea of what it's going to look like on here.
Because with the applique, you don't always want that really heavy finish on there.
You don't.
And some of the flowers, it would be quite nice to look at using different stitches on different ones. And it gives it a lot more depth then.
And sometimes tonal rather than contrast, because when you do contrast threads, then that bites into your shape, doesn't it? Whereas tonal thread, but we've got to fix this somehow.
So, and I think it is just looking at the different stitches and maybe just experimenting with a few of them on it, just trying some that you may not normally use, because you've got such a selection with 20 stitches.
Haven't you just?
And you've got the variations of width and length involved in that as well.
Almost endless.
It's endless variations on there. I've got a couple here that have already been done. Here's some, again, it's very Blue Peter today, isn't it? So we've got some little applique shapes, and you can see there's 3 different types of stitches on there. So that's probably one we're most familiar with.
Yeah, I was going to say sort of that one I can work with, satin stitch.
That's more like a little satin stitch. And this one, if you look different, it's a longer. Almost like the little leg going, it's a double stitch going in there.
That is sweet.
So that's really nice.
The bigger shape, be nice.
And you can see with the same shapes and the same fabric, the different effects that you can get with it. Again, we've got some squares. Again, corners. 4 different types of stitch on there. So it just really gives you a good overview of what you can actually achieve with the different stitches that we've got built into the machine. So we've got some little octagons again. And again, you can look, we've got the cornering features on here, which we can have a quick look at in sewing applications
I like this one. This is really sweet.
There's just so many different variations that you can do. And there's nothing to stop you maybe combining a couple of them.
Well, that's true.
Just going with it. And that's a little finished sample here. Again, with the different stitches on each leaf. And then with the outline hand look quilting, just to really make it pop out.
Oh, I could do that on here too.
You could, yes.
Okay.
You could say. So applique, there's just such a whole raft of things you can do with it. There is,
So,
and I say, because you've got the ability on the machine then to alter the width and length. So I'm just going to, for argument's sake, we can see it. And you can see it altering on the screen, so we can make it wider. We can make it longer. So you can really, really personalise what you want to do.
Yes, absolutely. And
this is a little one that I found at home from way back when, and this is it's a monofilament thread, and a lot of people like to do the invisible applique. That's freezer paper done, which is a tiny little blind hem stitch, so you can't actually physically see the stitching.
Yes, when it's turned edge, you can do that, can't you?
And again, with the monofilament, I suppose you could have done a different colour if you wanted, but the monofilament just sat in quite well for that.
Well, then it doesn't eat into your design, does it? So, no, absolutely super.
So it does.
Absolutely. Well, I am spoilt for choice.
So you could do a different stitch on the centres and then maybe come around here.
I think I am going to have a lot of fun playing
Certainly,
with
I
this.
expect to see the finished item.
Oh, yes. Well, don't hold your breath on that.